Good, Steve. How are you?
Hey, we're terrific. One of the most commented on questions we've had on our Facebook page here in a long time has been the Howie Mandel as the comic relief for the upcoming banquet. And
I bet you were prepared for this question tonight.
Yeah. So the question is, I'll ask the same question to you that we've asked everybody on Facebook. Who do you think would be the best choice for that particular gig, assuming that maybe you don't think Howie Mandel might be?
Well, I mean, I think Howie Mandel will be an improvement over some others. One that comes to mind is, I mean, when David Spade can make Jimmy Johnson look funny, you know you have a problem. No, I'm not auditioning for the job. Who do I think? I mean, you know, I like Frank Caliendo. I thought he did a good job. I know there are a lot of people who didn't, but I liked him because you see him so much in other sports. Stuff that I felt he did a good job. You know, the hard part is trying to figure out somebody who's, I guess, not too dirty, right? I mean, as far as, you know, when you think about comedians and stuff. But man, that's a tough one. I guess Will Ferrell comes to mind just because, you know, since he did Talladega Nights.
There you go.
You know, he might not. He would be maybe. I mean, it might be a little hard to keep him PG, but he might be able to do it for a couple hours.
Well, we had a couple. I don't want to go on this for too long, but two of the best suggestions that we had were Kevin James, and the other was Clint Boyer. And I like the Clint Boyer one.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you see, it requires you to read a prompter, and I don't really think that's up Clint's alley.
Okay, we're going to record that, send that to him.
There we go. Yeah, that would be great. Well, let's talk about the end of this race a little bit as well. It was something that you wrote about also. I thought, Charlie and I both thought that the end of this race was what NASCAR fans have been looking for over the last 5 or 7 years. Two guys who are going full bore for a win, not afraid to bang into each other a little bit, but like Jimmy Johnson said in a couple of quotes that we had, they never went over the line. They were at the line, but they never went over the line. I thought it was great drama, not only the on the track, but also the taking 2 tires, taking 4 tires. I thought the end of that race was classic NASCAR.
It was. I mean, it was great. It was, you know, neither guy wanted to give an inch, and they weren't afraid to bend some sheet metal for it, and they both came out clean. So, you know, I mean, it would have been interesting to see what happened if they both ended up in a heap of metal against the wall, and seeing how that would have played the championship out. But, you know, they both showed each other respect, but they also said, hey, I'm not going to be intimidated either.
Watching some of the video of the post-race press conference with Jimmy, I got the impression, and I know you're there in the room, so maybe you can tell me if I'm wrong, but I got the impression that Jimmy was a little bit peeved that maybe Keselowski had kind of pushed it too far. Am I wrong?
Well, I mean, you certainly have that feeling after when the caution comes out and he comes up beside him and starts pointing at him, right? I mean, that makes you feel like, wow. Yeah. I mean, you know, and when that happened, you know, Chad Knaus was on the radio saying, hey, let's, you know, got to keep our head, you know. I mean, it wasn't like they thought, well, Jimmy was just kind of saying, hey, thanks for making it difficult. So, you know, I think Jimmy, I mean, if you're trying to read between the lines, I think Brad, well, first off, Brad said he felt lucky to survive it, and I think Jimmy probably felt the same way, and I think that Jimmy is not convinced that if they did the same thing 8 times out of 10, they wouldn't end up both in a heap. So, I think that, to me, that was his concern, but, you know, I think he also expects to be raced that way. So, you know, it's kind of like probably 6 of one, half dozen of the other. So, I mean, I think he probably would have wished it was cleaner, but understood, hey, there are going to be times where you're going to have hard racing, and also probably delivering a message that, Brad, if you want to race that way, I can race that way, and we'll see who comes out on top.
Yeah.
One of the great things about this is, at least with 3 races to go, which is where we were at, you had the 2 guys who are battling for the championship, battling for the win on the race. That scenario doesn't always play out. You can only hope that as we go to Phoenix, as we go to Homestead, that same scenario can continue to play out, that the guys who are battling for this championship are also able to battle for the win.
I think you're right. And, it kind of happened last year, too, with Tony Stewart and Carl Edwards battling it out. And, I think when it comes down to it, these championships are so hard to win that, these guys, there's just a lot of will on both the crew and the drivers themselves. And somehow somewhere they find a way to almost step it up a notch or make sure that they're in that position. They're going to take 2 tires to get in that position. They're not going to play it conservative. They can't play it conservative because they know they need all the points that they can get. Look at it now, there's just 7 points separating them, and I think they're both ready for a dogfight the last couple of weeks.
Steve had a question for me earlier in the show, and I really couldn't answer it, Bob, as to why the racing was so good at Texas. I mean, Texas, it didn't.
Well, it depends on your view. The first 100 laps it was all green, and it made things worried. But there are a couple of reasons why it was good at Texas. The first one was tire wear, and so you had guys some guys had tire failures, but to me that's okay in the sense that you want tires to wear, and you want guys to have to, even if they burn up their tires early, then they're going to struggle the rest of the run. So Goodyear brought a good tire, plus the fact that Texas is now old enough pavement that it's tearing up the tire a little bit. It's a recently paved track, so it's not like just driving down a recently paved highway. So I think those 2 things had something to do with it. You had a championship battle on the line that had something to do with it, and you had some late cautions, and cautions kind of bred cautions, and that had something to do with it as well.
As always, Bob, we appreciate getting your insight on what's going on. We always read your stuff. We appreciate you being on with us. Have fun.
Enjoy writing about this. This has got to be fun for you too.
It is. It's why you follow sports, is to see guys perform at their best with all the pressure on the line, and I think that's what we'll get the last 2 weeks.
Cool, Bob. Thanks a lot for all your contributions this year, and good luck the last 2 races of the year.
All right, thank you guys.
All right. Bob Pockrass. Make sure you read his stuff at the